Many players try to drive their hips by sticking their backside out. This is completely useless. If you stick your backside out, your power is disconnected and you can't drive forward. Alright, today we're going to break down the forehand loop against underspin, a major challenge for amateur players. Do you find that you can loop when you're stationary, but struggle once you have to move? The first key point is your positioning relative to the ball. The reason for that miss was that you got jammed by the ball. That last miss was because you were reaching for it. These are all positioning issues, not a lack of spin. The first ball jammed you because you were standing too close. For the next one, the opponent's push was short, but you were standing too far back. Do you often feel jammed or unable to generate power when you loop? If your opponent returns with a soft, slow push that's short or even slightly high. Against that kind of ball, if you stand too far back after your serve, you won't be able to connect with power. Against these soft, short pushes, you must not retreat from the table. Watch in slow motion. If I'm too far back, my swing is almost finished before I even make contact. Therefore, you must read your opponent to determine your ready position after the serve. When your serve is effective and forces a weak, passive return, a soft push without much pace, what should you do? For this ball, try staying close to the table after your serve, leaving about a forearm's distance, and you can loop it without moving your feet. See, if I maintain this distance after my serve, I don't need to adjust my feet. Looping underspin on both forehand and backhand is difficult because it demands precise distance control between your racket and the ball. Let's simplify it. I'll tell you where to stand for each type of ball to make it easier. The second scenario is when your opponent pushes long and deep to your baseline. In this situation, if you use the same close stance, you will get jammed. So, whenever you play, you must observe the length of your opponent's pushes. Do they prefer to push aggressively long or passively short? We need to learn to anticipate based on their habits. If they push deep to the baseline, then I need to create the space of a full arm's length. By maintaining an arm's length of distance, I can execute my stroke from this position without any further adjustment. This way, you won't feel jammed or have to reach for the ball. To summarize the rule, an arm's length for deep balls, a forearm's length for short or half-long balls. For amateurs, being able to loop effectively without moving your feet is a huge advantage. Let's see it in action. They can push anywhere. I'll read the ball's position after my serve. If it's a short, soft ball, I'll position myself closer. If it's a deep ball, I'll stand back at an arm's length distance. If you're too far from the ball, you'll make contact at the end of your stroke and generate no power. Likewise, if you're too close and get jammed, you also can't generate power. It's all about finding the right space. Think of it like clapping. Your racket and the ball need to meet at the perfect distance to create power. Your lack of power comes from either being jammed or reaching, which causes you to use your energy too early. The simplest way is, move in for short balls to find the impact point, and move back for long balls. Otherwise, your power is either smothered or wasted before contact. At a higher level, what truly defines your skill is the ability to adjust your spacing and timing, not how pretty your technique looks. Our second topic is the backswing. Where do you position your racket on the backswing? To your side? Below the ball? Or behind your body? I see most students pulling it straight to their side. 90% of players make this mistake. Let's discuss the importance of the backswing. Why should we bring the racket behind the body, not just to the side or below? Let's do a quick test. If you only move your arm to your side, your hips won't rotate naturally. But if you bring your arm behind your body, your hips will turn automatically. Try it. To get your arm back there, your hips must rotate. When you swing your arm back behind you, your hips open up automatically. Try it tomorrow. You'll see your hips naturally make way. But if you only use your arm at your side, you can avoid rotating your hips. You'd have to consciously force the rotation, which is difficult for amateurs. It's not a natural movement. Another benefit of a backswing behind the body is that it engages your entire body. Think about reaching for something behind you, your body's state of readiness completely changes. This type of backswing naturally rotates your body to create space for the shot. Let me share my personal understanding. When we were kids, we were taught to swing back for topspin and down for underspin. If I had used a backswing behind my body back then, my coach would have been furious. But if you look at modern technique, all professional players bring their racket back near their right hip before exploding forward. Here's how I feel it: on the backswing, the arm guides the body. On the forward swing, the body drives the arm. See? As the arm goes back, the body naturally follows. Then, as you drive your hip forward, your body leads the arm through the shot. It's a continuous motion, but we're breaking it down to show this cause-and-effect relationship. If you only swing from the side, your arm and body are disconnected. A backswing behind the body, for both forehand and backhand, forces your torso to rotate, loading it up before you drive forward. So, amateur players, you really need to bring your backswing behind your body. Doing this will make your shot feel much less awkward and will help you create the proper hitting zone. Keeping the arm closer to the body also makes it easier to use your core strength. Most importantly, it forces your hips to rotate, which creates space for your contact point. A backswing behind the body requires you to use your body to drive forward. So, when you practice, really try to feel this connection. Once you position your hand behind your body, your contact point, point B, will naturally be correct. We've talked about points A, B, and C. Why is your point B, contact, off? Because if your point A, backswing, is at your side, your swing will be a forward push. If your point A is too low, your swing will be an upward lift. These incorrect starting positions lead to pushing, lifting, or scooping the ball. However, if your backswing is close and behind your body, your forward arc through the contact point, point B, will be full and powerful. Look, A and B connect smoothly, and the whole motion looks great. If you can get this backswing position right, your loop will improve dramatically and become much easier than looping from the side. No matter how heavy the spin, this swing path will create the arc to lift it. The reason several players I coached today couldn't lift the ball is because their backswing was at their side. A side backswing gives you too much room to flip your wrist. When your arm is behind your body, your torso physically restricts excessive wrist movement. This forces you to subconsciously wrap around the ball, which is exactly the feeling of a proper loop. So pay close attention to your backswing position. To create a fuller, more complete swing arc, you must start from behind. Third, let's talk about using your hips and core. Without body engagement, your loop will never have real power. Let me demonstrate. With 50% arm power, here's an arm-only shot. Now, here's one with body rotation. It's like the difference in power between a girl's shot and a boy's shot. For body power, there are 3 elements. The first is your stance. You need a lunge stance, not a square horse stance. Most players use a square stance, not a lunge. Why a lunge? Because when you sink into a lunge and then drive up, you can transfer power from your legs. It's the difference between throwing from a standstill versus throwing with a step and rotation. The latter is far more powerful. Only a lunge allows for power transfer. Simply squatting up and down only generates upward force, not forward force. So, the lunge stance is the first critical point. The second element is rotation. Your inability to drive forward stems from a lack of true hip turn. When we say rotate, we mean you have to open up your hips. Many of you just pull your arm back while your head and shoulders stay facing forward. That little bit of hip movement isn't true rotation, so you naturally can't drive your weight forward into the ball. Proper rotation is, get into your lunge stance, open your hips, point your non-hitting shoulder at the ball, and pull your hitting shoulder back. See? This creates space for the shot, and now you can drive forward. Watch my upper body closely. Can you see that forward driving motion? If you don't rotate, you're just swinging your arm. This is what hip drive feels like. When I open up my body fully, I can hit the ball with explosive power from any position. And it feels effortless. These 2 loops felt very easy for me. To you, they might look like powerful shots, but they don't require a lot of effort. It's because the body is driving the arm, creating synchronized power and a coordinated motion. The third point is the hip drive. Why can't we drive through the ball? Many players try to drive their hips by sticking their backside out. This is completely useless. A true hip drive during the loop involves driving your knee and thigh forward while keeping your core tight. If you stick your backside out, your power is disconnected and you can't drive forward. So, don't stick your butt out on the backswing. Just maintain a slight crouch. Rotate, then drive. As you drive the hip, your thigh and knee lead the forward movement. You shouldn't be sitting back on your hip. Many people make this mistake. It probably looks familiar, right? You will never find the feeling of a powerful hip drive this way, because the force isn't directed into the ball. Let me exaggerate, the feeling should be driving forward, not sitting backward. So when you practice your rotation and hip drive, feel how close your body and your arm are. Look, stay close to your body, then as you drive the hip, focus on your thigh and knee moving forward. Drive forward from a low stance. If you are older and can't squat low, this rotational drive is still the correct motion. If your body can handle it, get low into a lunge and drive up from that position. A drill we used as kids was to intentionally step forward with our right foot into the shot to feel that forward drive. You can practice this to get the feeling. Gradually, you'll find the feeling of a proper hip drive. So, once our knees are bent, we rotate, then drive. Stay low, drive through your center of gravity, and let your upper body and arm follow in a coordinated motion.